Okay, so we got this 7 Cycles frame unboxed, and our shop dog Rocco is not quite as excited about this as I am, but that's okay. He's cute, so that's all he needs. That's his job here. So here's the frame. This is my Axiom XX. Super excited to get this thing assembled and out on the road and the gravel. This is a gravel bike, and what I really love about my relationship with 7 Cycles is that as a professional bike fitter, it's my job to work individually with customers and really get them feeling amazing on their current bike, working on that body-bike connection. So how they sit in the saddle, how they grip the handlebars, and also how they feel with their feet, their crank length, pedals, all that stuff. And once we get all that stuff dialed in, we can use those measurements, their body position, and give it to 7 Cycles, and they step in and custom build the frame so that the frame interface, or sorry, I should say frame to road interface, is as good as it'll get. So between this team effort, between me, 7 Cycles, and the customer, we come out with a bike that has full body bike road connection, if that makes sense. So the fit's great, and the way the bike rides is great. I love my current bike, which was basically a cyclocross frame that I used for gravel. However, there were some things on it that I didn't really like related to the handling. So all that has been engineered out with this frame. So I'm excited to get down some fast descents on some loose stuff and try it out. Every bike comes with one of these tags, which is really cool. Because this is handmade in Watertown, Massachusetts, in my case by Andy, Steph Adams, and Mason, they give you this little tag showing you who did it. And one misconception with custom bikes is that if you were to just take a stock frame, let's say a 56 centimeter, and just pick any brand, and then build it up with the components that you want, that's actually not custom. That's, technically we would maybe call that semi-custom. Full custom is where the frame itself was fully optimized for you. The tube set was selected and literally hand built. And that's what we do with 7 Cycles. This is a fully custom frame. A lot of care and attention to detail has gone into building this thing. And then, of course, I will be able to go ahead and assemble it with the parts that I want. I chose Axis, SRAM Axis wireless shifting. I'm going to have a dropper seat post that you can see right here. And then also I have my tires that I like to run. Our 7 fork and some FSA gravel handlebars. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing built up, and we'll get it outside. And here we are in beautiful Chester County, Pennsylvania, southeastern PA. I have gotten quite a few rides on this bike. Here it is, completely built up. 7 Cycles Evergreen XX. Everything came together great. Really enjoying riding this bike. We're currently in the fall time here in Chester County. We have some awesome gravel. Typically our rides out here will consist of a fair amount of asphalt, but there's also quite a bit of gravel. There's a lot of horse farms out here, so beautiful out here right now. And since my last video, it's actually been about 4 months. So since the first half of this video, what ended up happening is I went for my first ride, and the bike felt good, but it just felt very different. Something that I'm not used to. My background is as a road racer, and I was always used to kind of riding a certain type of bike pretty much all my life. And being on this bike just felt a lot different, not in a bad way, just different. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to ride this thing a lot. And then once I feel ready, I'm going to film the second half of this video. So here we are. What I ended up feeling was kind of what was described to me by folks that own custom bikes, is that I felt like I was sitting in the bike rather than like on top of it. So it's kind of hard to explain, and that's the thing about a custom bike, is you don't really know how great it's going to be until you build one, because it's custom. It's custom to you. You can't test ride a bike that, is custom to you, right? I really felt like I was centered over the two wheels. I felt like I was just kind of molded into the bike, and it just handled so well. It felt super comfortable. The bike was sort of just like working with me, and it was awesome. But at first, for me personally, given my background, it was like, this is interesting. I don't hate it, but it's a little odd. And one of the days I got back from a bike ride, and my wife asked me, how was your ride? And I said, it was awesome. I love this bike. I can't wait to ride tomorrow. That's what I said. So it was at that point, I think, that it really kind of clicked. And I just absolutely enjoyed that particular day, because it just kind of like all came together for whatever reason. One of the design things on the bike that you're noticing probably right off the bat is the top tube, which we showed earlier. So the main utility here is I have a dropper post, so I can actually hit levers on my handlebars and actually make that dropper go down all the way to here. And I wanted that for steep downhills. I'm not the best bike handler, so I kind of just wanted that. The cool thing about a 7 is you build it however you want. So for my area, this is sort of maybe overbuilt. I don't really need a dropper, but I wanted it anyway because I'm going to be signing up for some big gravel events where there's going to be big downhill. So I wanted it ready for that. But when you build a 7, totally build it relative to the area that you live if you want. And look ahead to what you're going to be doing in the future and build it accordingly. Another cool thing on this thing is I went with the Appleman cranks. These are machined in Minnesota. Matt Appleman, really cool guy. He's actually a Steve Hogg guy like me. And he makes these cranks in all different lengths, and you can choose your colors. So I went with this, and I think it turned out really well. I went with 165 cranks. Clearance on the tires up to 45C. I kind of like that width. It gives me a lot of good grip. Makes me feel confident on the downhills. And of course, the Selly SMP saddle, I'll probably do a video on that. I'm a big fan of the SMP saddles overall, and they are a science in themselves. Really loving this bike. And again, like I reiterated in the beginning of the video, when you have a custom bike, it is custom to you and your needs. In the case of 7 Cycles, they want to do custom. A lot of brands say they do custom, and it'll actually be a frame that's kind of built based off of a stock frame size, and then they build the parts up sort of custom. That's not really custom. This is custom. These tubes were all laid out for how my position is on the bike, so my contact points, my saddle, cranks, and bars. So that's a position that I love, and I've been riding for a long time with success. So that was all retained, and then this frame geometry in the middle was optimized. That way I can run a normal length stem. I got like a 110 on there, right? On stock frame bikes, I'm usually running a very short stem that's kind of angled up. I'm one of those folks that have long legs and a short torso, so kind of cool to be riding a bike with a normal length stem. The tube thickness was kind of milled down for my body weight. So the bike's not over built for me, and it's also not underbuilt. They take that into consideration. The other thing too is my old bike was a really kind of stiff, fast gravel, like carbon fiber gravel bike, which I really loved. But the thing I didn't like about it was it didn't handle that great on descents. So this handles way better. So they were able to engineer that out with the frame geometry. The other thing too is that I liked my carbon gravel bike, or my carbon cyclocross bike that I had before, because it was kind of fast and racy, and I kind of like that feel. So when I designed this frame, I could actually choose on a sliding scale of 1 to 10 where I want it to be on a couple different categories, including drivetrain rigidity, frame stiffness, weight of the frame. And I had control over that. And through the guidance of 7, we were able to pick kind of what made the most sense for me. So what ended up happening is that the frame has come out to be quite stiff. So when I'm out of the saddle, because my riding style is I ride out of the saddle a lot, and it feels great. I mean, it kind of feels like my cyclocross bike that I had before, which is what I wanted. I wanted to retain that, but it's more comfortable and it handles better because those are characteristics that I kind of wanted more of. So I had full control over that. Like, this is a custom frame. I can't say that enough. So if you're looking to go full custom, definitely consider 7. And also, fit first, buy later. Make sure these contact points are great and you're happy with it. You love it. You love your bike position. Use that to then drive the design of the frame, so you end up with something like this and enjoying every ride and coming home and saying, I love my bike. Thanks for watching.